Good evening, and welcome to the Raleigh Board of Selectmen meeting for April 6th, 2015. Time being 6:05, I call the meeting to order. And tonight we have a joint meeting with the Water Board Commissioners. And it's to discuss the discipline or dismissal of an employee pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A1. The chairman calls for a joint meeting with the Water Board, the commissioners to, Water Board Commissioners, to order by roll call. So,
Give you a motion.
motion?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to go into joint session by roll call vote. All those in favor say by roll call.
Yep. I, Robert Snow.
Aye, Robert Murray.
I, Joseph Perry.
Hi, Dave Peterson.
You folks want to open your own meeting, or you want to?
Water Board calls a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen and Water by roll call vote.
No.
What do you reckon?
No, Tim Toomey.
Where do we go from
The
here?
reason I say no, Mr. Chairman, is I have a statement prepared. I'd like to enter this into the record.
It's not on the agenda, sir.
Well, the reason why I'm voting no to go into executive session.
Okay.
No, due respect, Mr. Chairman, I feel this is a water board matter.
Okay. So at this point, the only decision I can make, I think, at this point, I'll have to check with our town council, but the Board of Selectmen have agreed to go into executive session. So the Board of Selectmen can hold an executive session at this point,
That's correct.
once we vote to do that.
Correct.
So I don't, and if that's the case, then the Water Board will not be a participant.
That would be correct.
Okay.
But that's ultimately up to the water board, I guess, at this point, Mr. Chairman.
Mhm.
In terms of whether or not they wish to go into executive session to be part of that discussion.
Right. And I'm assuming that after your statements here, that's the case.
They're required to leave the room. I'm gonna vote no.
This is the first I've heard about this, so I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do about it.
No, I understand your position, Roy, I really do. Because there is another motion to actually open the session.
So you want to read that, or?
Well, at this point, they both said they don't even want to meet with the Board of Selectmen. They don't want to join the joint meeting. So the next one would be, you've already called for to go into the joint meeting, and then you've got 2 noes, so that didn't pass. So the Board of Selectmen motion is the chairman calls for a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of considering the discipline or dismissal of an employee and to return to open session. A selectman makes the motion, and it is seconded by another member of the Board of Selectmen, and a roll call vote is taken by both boards. So we'll go to that process. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll give you a motion, Mr.
I'll
Chairman.
second.
Motion made and seconded for the board to go into executive session and not to to return to open session at the end of it. By roll call vote.
I, Robert Snow.
Aye, Robert Murray.
I, Joseph Perry.
Yeah, I did Peterson.
Water board vote. By roll call.
No, Tim Toomey, and I would want my statement to be entered into the record.
I reckon.
Yep, that's fine. Stu?
No, I stood Dalzell, no.
Okay, so Stu, you're gonna have to leave the room. So Roy, because he voted yes, but he doesn't represent the board as a quorum.
At this point, we're in executive session,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep,
So,
Well,
but I
one
think we're
sec.
still in open session at the moment.
okay.
Do I say it or am I supposed to go?
Hang on just a minute, Roy. And welcome back to the open session of the Rowley Board of Selectmen, April 6, 2015. The time being 7:02. Okay, so we have a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Joe, would you lead us in a pledge, please?
I'd be happy to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, Citizens Query will be open tonight from 7:05 to 7:10. We do have an appointment tonight. And that is at 7:15 with the Shellfish Constable. Okay. General business. Number 1 is letter from Reverend Robert Hagopian regarding Seabrook Nuclear Power Plant. Okay, this is Honorable Board of Selectmen, Town Hall, Rowley, Mass. Dear Honorable Board of Selectmen, I am writing to you as a concerned citizen of Rowley in support for the efforts of Steve Comley Sr. in sounding the alarm regarding the Seabrook Nuclear Power Plant in Seabrook, New Hampshire. This letter represents my personal opinions along and not of any other individuals, organizations, or community groups inside or outside of Rowley. Having lived on the North Shore since 1968, I have followed the history of the Seabrook Nuclear Power Plant since its construction. I remember the protests that attempted to stop the plant's construction and the concerns the protesters raised at that time. The same concerns that exist today regarding nuclear power in general. I've never joined in such protests and do not see myself as someone who embraces that form of political action. I have never harbored any ill will toward the nuclear power industry or the people who earn a living working at such plants as Seabrook. I embrace the technology and all the benefits it brings to our lives. However, I am also very familiar with human nature and the sad truth that not everyone is motivated purely to work for the common good. With this in mind, I am joining with Mr. Comley in voicing concerns about the information that he has brought to light over the years regarding the Seabrook plant. Remembering what happened in Chernobyl, in the Ukraine on April 26, 1986, and more recently the disaster in 2011 in Japan as the tsunami there caused a level 7 meltdowns at 3 reactors in Fukushima nuclear power plant. My concern for the safety of the people who live in Seabrook Shadow has increased. I ask you to include Mr. Comley's petition in the upcoming town meeting warrant so that our citizens will be afforded the opportunity to sign their names and have their voices heard regarding what I believe to be a critical issue. Please note that I have signed the petition that Mr. Comley presented to me in memory of Charlie Hardy, who passed away recently and who was a dedicated first responder in our community for years past. Thank you for your consideration of these issues and for your leadership in our community. My prayers and thoughts are always with you. Sincerely, Reverend Robert M.J. Hagopian. And that takes care of item number 1. And item, what's that?
7:05.
7:05, okay, 7:05, Citizens Query is open till 7:10. And as a reminder, this meeting is being audio and video recorded. General business number 2, letter from Dr. William E. Boylan regarding Seabrook Nuclear Power Plant. Dr. William E. Boylan, 132 Jackman Street, Georgetown, Honorable Board of Selectmen, Town Hall, Rowley Town Hall, Rowley. Dear Honorable Selectmen of Rowley, 29 years ago, the nuclear power plant at Chernobyl irradiated the countryside. Reportedly, radiation was detected as far away as Vermont. Mr. Stephen Comley's Seaview Nursing Home is much closer to the power station in Seabrook, New Hampshire, than Vermont is to Russia. The Chernobyl meltdown prompted Mr. Comley to ask from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission their evacuation plans. They had none. Instead, Mr. Comley was advised as to how he might help his bedridden residents die more peacefully. This was advised. Where am I here? This Stephen Comley was not willing to do. Once Comley became known as an opponent to a politically unsafe, potentially unsafe nuclear installation, many who were in the know regarding safety concerns in the nuclear industry sought him out. Thus Comley found we the people. As for me, I am speaking for myself and not the Byfield Parish Church. The Byfield Parish Church is a daughter church of the First Congregational Church of Rowley. A portion of Byfield is within Rowley's borders. Also, Mr. Comley has been a faithful member of the Byfield Parish Church for decades. Therefore, I feel it only right to speak up on matters that concern Rowley. Please consider including Mr. Comley's petition on the town meeting warrant to thereby give the citizens the voice that they are guaranteed by our Constitution. Free speech is one of our great protections, and all that Comley asks is that the town folk be given their voice. Thank you for your considering my request. Sincerely yours, Dr. William E. Boylan. Okay. Old business, general business number 3. The National Wildlife Federation and the Ipswich River Watershed Association as a part of the Community Coastal Resiliency and Adaptation Plan is forming a regional task force made up of the towns of Rowley, Ipswich, and Essex. They are asking for the town of officially joining the effort as a project partner by appointing a point person from the town and appointing up to 6 individuals to represent the town on the EIR task force. Kurt Baker, James Broderick, and Brent Bazelak have had primary discussions with the National Wildlife Federation and the Ipswich River Watershed Association. Brent is interested in serving as the point person. He needs to run this by the Conservation Commission. Debbie has spoken with Kurt, and he is interested in serving on the task force, because the task force will be identifying and potentially and prioritizing municipal assets that are at risk from storms, sea level rise, erosion, flooding, and other hazards. REMA Director James Broderick should be the town representative on the task force. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, just so you know, I spoke to him and he's fine with that.
Okay.
So it's also, that's really what they're asking you to do. So we would just need a motion by the board
Okay.
to appoint Brent as the point person of the town. He would be the coordinator of disseminating any information back to the town officials. And we would have the town planner and the REMA director on that task force as well. So between the 3 of them, they should be able to make any meetings if,
Okay?
His conflicts with others' work or
And
something.
report back.
Mr. Chairman, I'll give you a motion to Brent Aslak to be the coordinator.
Okay, and then Kurt Baker and James Broderick to be part of that committee?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Letter from the Merrimack Board of Selectmen. Have you got that in your package, Ron? Because I don't seem to have it here. Actually, I got it right here on top. I'm sorry. It's in the wrong pile. My fault. Okay, it's a letter from Merrimack Board of Selectmen to attend meeting on Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School. Town of Valley Board of Selectmen, Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School. Dear Board of Selectmen, on behalf of the Boards of Selectmen in Merrimack, Groveland, and West Newbury, I am writing to invite you to participate in a meeting with all of the member communities that belong to Whittier Regional Vocational Technical High School, along with our state legislators. As you have probably read in the newspaper in recent weeks, we have concerns with several of the policies at the school, including the administration, school choice, and busing policies. We thought it would be beneficial for all of the member communities and our legislators to get together to discuss all the issues and try to develop a plan to address these concerns. We have set a tentative date of May 14th at 6 p.m. at the Merrimack Public Library, 89 West Main Street. Please RSVP to Carol McLeod, Finance Director, Town of Merrimack, 4 School Street, Merrimack, Mass. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact our office. Sincerely, Laura D. Mailman, Chairwoman, Merrimack Board of Selectmen. Okay. Any discussion on that particular
Are we gonna go
correspondence?
As a board or send a representative or what's the feeling on that?
Well, I've been kind of following that in the newspaper, and evidently Merrimack, the Pentucket School particularly has an issue with some of the policies, I guess, with the school. And the school has basically said that they don't think there are any issues. So it's kind of a matter of which way you flip the coin. So I will recuse myself from that, as I am a graduate of the predecessing school that was there. So whatever you guys decide to do.
Should we send a representative or?
I would think so.
Someone's available to send a representative.
Joe, do you want it because you're in the school, so?
Yeah.
Or would you prefer one of?
No, I'll go as,
Or, you sure?
yeah, because I've been dealing with the school issues.
Okay. In that case, I'll make a motion that Joe becomes our representative.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, the time being 7:15. Citizens' query has closed 5 minutes ago. And at 7:15, we have an appointment, Shellfish Constable Jack Grunstrom, to discuss a request to raise the Shellfish Department Physical 15 revolving fund cap. Okay. The Shellfish Department revolving account is, what is that word, exponential? Set it, actually,
The expenditure cap is.
expenditure cap is set at $6,000. Jack will be here to discuss this request. This request requires approval from the Selectmen and the Finance Committee.
And I made a mistake, it's John Grunstrom, that's the constable.
Constable.
Jack
Okay.
Grunstrom is the commissioner.
Commissioner, okay, so we'll get the constable and the commissioner straightened out. Figure out which one we're talking to. You want me to read the letter?
It's up to you, Bob.
Honorable Board of Selectmen, I always like that nice introduction, you know. Gives you a good warm fuzzy.
Board, that's you guys.
Gives us a good warm fuzzy feeling, you know? Okay. The Shellfish Department hereby requests that an additional $2,000 be made available from the Shellfish Revolving Fund for use by the department to propagate and protect the shellfish areas during the spring of 2015. These funds are necessary due to the unprecedented increase in the necessity to police the shellfish areas during the fall and winter of 2014 and the anticipated demand for patrol during the spring of 2015. This increase for protection is due to an unexpected increase in the value of razor clams and the exceptionally cold winter that left most of the clam flats unavailable to the clam diggers of Rowley and the surrounding towns. These two conditions resulted in unlicensed clam diggers from other towns repeatedly trying to illegally harvest razor clams from Rowley areas that were not frozen over due to their location in Plum Island Sound. We anticipate that due to the continued high value of razor clams, we can expect the same problems in the spring of 2015. Sincerely, Shellfish Department, Shellfish Constable, John H. Grunston, Shellfish Commissioners, Michael Cook, John E. Grunston, and somebody that scribbled on the page. Stuart Dalzell. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
One thing I can add to it, another expense that unexpected expense, so we had to spend $1,200, a little over $1,000 on the outboard motor repair this year. We had to have 3 new carburetors put on it. And we can foresee the same problem when spring comes as we had this fall with Ipswich, with other towns, clammers trying to seal our clams, especially our razor clams. Okay. And we're going to have to do every bit as much patrol this spring as we did last fall. And this winter, we had the only areas that were open to dig, so they were coming up from outside in other towns to get into our areas that wasn't frozen over. So I know we're going to need it. And right now, I just want to see, we got almost $6,000 in that revolving fund right now, and more to come because we're just selling permits now.
Okay. So that would be a vote from the board to put that onto the town meeting warrant. Is that correct, Deb?
Oh, no, this is a fiscal 15 revolving fund request to raise that cap.
Okay.
So the cap is set at 6,000, and they anticipate spending more than that.
All right.
So this is a vote of the Selectmen and the Finance Committee.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to raise the cap to $8,000 for FY15.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jack, can I ask you a question? You know about the green crabs? What's happened this past winter?
Green crab. We're gonna try some traps this week. I'm gonna bring them down.
We put in some traps in, I think, October, and we took a count. This is just hitting this thing, and then we're gonna try them this week, actually, and see what the difference is. I think we probably lost a lot of green crabs this winter, an awful lot. John's seen a bunch of dead ones on the lot, a lot of them. We're hoping.
That's.
And
Might be the only good the snow did.
the study that John and I did 10 years ago, was a couple of Ipswich High School students, that Cat Cove is going to assist in conducting the same study, not quite as extensive, but scaled down a little bit, the same months, the same weeks, this summer, so we can really get a good look at the whole picture. But I think what we're going to see this week is going to tell us a good story.
How do the embankments look along the river? Because I know they go in.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of collapsed banks.
That's basically mainly from the green crabs, right?
Ice, green
Ice,
crab.
okay.
Well, I mean, they burrow under them, but when the ice got on it, it collapsed the banks.
Okay.
There's a lot. I saw a tremendous amount.
Okay.
Primarily the females and the small crabs that stay in the banks, and the big males go out into deep water where it's warmer, but they're going to come back and be very disappointed.
One other thing.
We hope.
One other thing. I just want to tell you, this is how cold a winter it was. About 3 weeks ago, I took a sled from my driveway. I walked down to the landing. I walked almost to the almost to the very end of the Raleigh River on the ice.
Really?
Wow.
And there were areas that I could actually look down and see that the ice was at least 4 foot thick.
Wow.
And this is 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
It's been a long time since it's been that way, hasn't it?
Yeah, I've never saw it frozen like that.
I can remember as a kid, they put the ice houses out there all the time.
Yeah.
Every year they'd be out there.
years since we've seen that.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was 25 or 30 years ago before there's been any ice house out
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
there. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
John.
Thanks.
New business, and it's the renew and approve antique junk license renewals. The applicants below have submitted complete antique junk license renewals. All taxes, light and water bills have been paid. Okay, there are 3 on the list. And it's Staff P. Todd Farm LLC, 283 Main Street. Robert C. and Frocka, Salt Marsh Antiques, 224 Main Street. And Frank P. Todd's Farm, Riverview Farm LLC, 275 Main Street. Now, because I've done work for all 3 of these people in the past, I'm going to recuse myself from the vote.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And I recuse myself for the 3. Okay, request from T-Mobile to place additional antenna on cell tower. Okay, Honorable Board of Selectmen Planning Board, 124 Havel Street, T-Mobile cell tower antenna upgrade. At its March 11, 2015 meeting, the Planning Board voted unanimously, 6-0, to approve T-Mobile's request for additional antenna on the cell tower located at 124 Havel Street, which is a town-owned property, thus requiring authorization from the Board of Selectmen. The applicant has stated that will be no modification to the structure, height of the tower, or expansion of the ground-level base station. Therefore, the Planning Board ascertains that this request falls under the exception from the formal modified site plan review per the stipulations of the Federal Middle Class Tax Relief Act of 2014. So the application is here. And I believe we're going to need a motion to approve it and then sign it as the leasee. Do you have a chance to read that, Joe?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so it's not really a major change. They're just
No.
going to add some more antennae.
Right.
So it's.
I'll give you that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So I should fill this out and sign it, Deb? On page,
Yes, you can do that.
Yep. As the leasee?
Lessor. Yeah, lessor.
That's all, yeah. This is the 6th day of April.
Go along with that, Mr. Chairman, just to make a declaration that
Yeah.
I used to work for a telecommunications company,
Okay?
so, okay.
Yep. But you have no stock in T-Mobile?
No, I have
Very
no
good.
stock in T-Mobile.
Okay. You're all set.
Okay.
Okay, T-Mobile's gone. Letter from Finance Committee, reestablishing a task force to review cemetery finances and operations. Dated April 3rd, 2015, Robert Mary Chairman, Board of Selectmen. Read, task force to examine cemetery department operations. Dear Chairman Mary, the Finance Committee has voted to request the Board of Selectmen form a task force to examine the operations of the cemetery department. During this year's budget review process, several members of the Finance Committee expressed concerns over the lack of backup information and details in the cemetery budget. The cemetery department also utilizes a revolving fund which also funds the operations of this department. It is unclear as to what the purpose of each account is for and for what expenses are being used for each account. The Finance Committee recommends that the Board of Selectmen form a task force made up of one Finance Committee member, one selectman, and one cemetery commissioner charged with the reviewing the operations of the cemetery department and reporting back to the Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee next September with recommendations. Task force should be charged with the following: review revenues, review expenses, analyze labor costs, analyze the cost of services. On behalf of the Finance Committee, I respectfully request your consideration of this request. Thank you. Sincerely, Lawrence White, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I read this over, and I don't think it would be a very good idea to have one of the cemetery commissioners on the panel. And one of the reasons is that they have a vested interest and they receive funds from the commission. Okay, so I think it should not have one of the commissioners because there would be a conflict of interest here
Right.
for one of them to be on it.
I think, Bob, that if we form this task force, I have to agree with what you have to say. And I actually made some notes myself when I read this particular thing. And what I would like to make sure that happens, and I agree with you, and I think I'll answer your question first.
Okay.
Is that we should have a representative from the Cemetery Commission available, not necessarily to participate in the discussion of what they want to do here and examine, but to be able to answer questions.
I agree with that, yeah.
Okay? So that we can, whoever this commission winds up being, that they can rely on this person to give them direction as to when they have a question to ask. I think one of the things we need to look at in this is conforming to applicable laws. And one of the major ones is the open meeting law requirements.
Right.
And as I mentioned to the Finance Committee the other night at that meeting, the laws have changed. I don't know if you saw that package that came through our mail about a week ago. And the Attorney General has actually revised the open meeting law to some extent.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, and I would remind everybody that they should, all town employees should be reading that new upgraded open meeting law package because there are changes in it. And I have actually done it. And as what was mentioned at that Finance Committee last Tuesday, there needs to be established a checks and balances situation here so that things get done. We've had some issues with some of the payrolls that have been coming in with wrong dates, and at one point we had a 28-hour day that got written down and for labor costs, so that those things need to be looked into and fixed up and explained as to why these are happening and make sure that they don't happen again, and that there is a checks and balance. So, is there any further discussion?
I agree with what Mr. Snow has said and your analysis too.
Okay.
That we have to do something. I would like to see a third person on that committee. And I would agree that we should use one of the commissioners as a resource and not a member of the committee.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to volunteer for that
Okay.
as a selectman.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Mr. Chairman, I would like to see a commission formed to reform the cemetery altogether. I think it needs to be made into a town department. And the commissioners should not be allowed to get paid to do the work anymore. They should be hiring summer help or hiring part-time help. They now have a piece of equipment that they run over there. They run lawnmowers all summer. There's a lot of work to be done over there. I think it's time that we professionalize that department to some degree, whether it's under the highway department or some other such thing. I think it's part of the group's endeavor in looking at that we should examine that whole
Okay,
subject.
we could assign that to the task force.
Right.
And
I would,
have them look into it.
that's a good idea.
Then report back to us.
Yep.
So. Okay, so you want to make a motion to at least establish a task force?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to establish the task force. All those, actually, is there any further discussion? Larry, you got any comment at all?
I basically agree with you that one of the committees should be 3 people, and that the cemetery commissioners should be represented, not necessarily on the committee. I'll leave that up to your judgment. We just found that there were just too many holes and it wouldn't pass not only our audit, but any audit state or anybody else might come up with. So we saw a need for reform. And again, we're not saying that there's anything going on that's not right, just that it needs to conform to the more of the laws that are in existence right now and the auditing procedures. So I'm in support of your position, and leave it to the Finance Committee tomorrow night.
Okay, and does as the chairman of the Finance Committee, do you want to have your committee vote on a representative for this task force?
We can, we've had a volunteer.
Okay. No, that'll work.
Dennis Roy.
Okay.
But certainly we can, make it formalized.
I think it was a vote, wasn't it?
I don't think so.
No.
I think he volunteered, but I don't think we voted.
I remember, now that you mention it, I think I do remember him saying that he would like to be on it.
Right. I certainly support that because he definitely has more experience in that field than any other people, and he has volunteered for it. So I certainly would support that, although I won't be here tomorrow evening.
Okay.
But I think it's a step in the right direction.
All right. Okay, so we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We will form a task force. And we have 2 volunteers already. Okay. New business number 4. Okay. This is March 30th to G. Robert Murray, Chairman, Board of Selectmen. Subject, consideration to naming the new town conservation area at 390 Weathersfield Street, map 18, parcel lot 7. Honorable Chairman and members, the Conservation Commission respectfully requests the Board of Selectmen give due consideration to selection of a name for the newly acquired town conservation area at 390 Weathersfield Street, commonly known as the Girl Scout property. The Conservation Commissioners would welcome the opportunity to participate and discuss various naming considerations that would recognize and acknowledge the historical importance and environmental significance of the protected natural resources located on the 193-acre property. The property has frontage on Weathersfield Street along the northern boundary, partially abuts Bachelor Brook, spelling USGS map. Along the easterly boundary is contiguous with the Smith Lane Conservation Area to the south, and when it's westerly bound, it's formed by an unnamed stream that flows northerly until it joins the Mill River near the Weathersfield Street Bridge. The Hawthorne Girl Scout Council, Inc., in 1965 to 1966, acquired 4 parcels that formed the present-day property. Those parcels were owned by Paul Thurston Dodge and John D. Bradstreet, jointly with Dodge, and Amos D. Carroll, who inherited the 100-acre parcel, the old Smith Place, from his mother, Bertha Carroll Batchelder, spelling deed reference. The Conservation Commission requests the Board of Selectmen consider a joint meeting to accomplish the name selection. Please call the Conservation Office with any questions or clarification. Okay, that's the letter from the Conservation Commission. We also have a second letter here, and it's subject renaming the former Girl Scout property. Upon the application and strong recommendation of the Board of Selectmen, the Community Preservation Act Committee committed funds for the purchase of the Girl Scout camp property, which lies between New Weathersfield Street and Havel Street. Following town meeting approval, the purchase of this property has been completed. At its meeting last night, which was March 27th, by the way, last night the CPAC members discussed their understandings that consideration is being given to renaming this property. During this discussion, it was noted that the family name of Batchelder was associated with one of the land parcels that now comprise the current property entirely. The watercourse historically known as Batchelder Brook, which rises in the marshland behind McDonald's and empties into the Mill River, runs through the property, and the late Ruth Batchelder Alexander, one of Rowley's greatest conservationists, and with her husband Don, a major donator of marshland to public conservation purposes, would be indirectly honored by an association of her maiden name with this property. Following this discussion, the CPAC voted unanimously to petition the Board of Selectmen to give consideration to renaming the former Girl Scout property as Batchelder Brook Reservation, or some similar name that utilizes the name of Batchelder. Respectfully yours, Curtis Turner, Secretary of the CPAC. Email copies to Conservation Committee members. So there's 2 letters there to do renaming. I also have some thoughts about what name should be given to that property also. I don't know if we want to get into that right now. Maybe we should meet with the Conservation Commission as they've requested a meeting. Is there any further discussion?
Should we set up a meeting, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, I'd like to see a meeting with the Conservation.
Okay.
You want a
And
motion?
any other interested parties.
Yeah.
I'll give you a motion to
Okay.
have
I'll
a joint
second.
meeting with the Conservation.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, that takes us down to old business. Old business number 1. Review and approve, discuss fiscal year 16 Water Department budget. Last week, we voted to recommend the fiscal 16 Water Department budget. There has been a slight modification to the budget. We have debit lines for the Pingree Farm Road project and Prospect Hill project borrowings. The board needs to vote to recommend the revised budget with these modifications. Okay.
I'll give you the vote, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there any discussion? Deb, you got any information you want to share with us?
No.
Okay.
I think I was, explained it at last week's meeting. We didn't have the debt amounts.
Okay.
So Karen Summit
Yep.
has made that note. And I have the final version here that we're going to put on the warrant,
Okay,
which I can give you after the meeting.
very good. Is there
The
any?
Finance Committee is going to take this up tomorrow night.
Okay. Is there
I'd
any?
like to second that with the note that we are approving revision 9 dated March 30th, 2015.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, item number 2, review annual and special town meeting warrants. Warrant articles. I'm assuming this is where we go and figure out who's going to do what, Deb?
I don't think we're really at that point. I
Okay.
just wanted the board to review everything. You haven't had a chance to see the special town meeting warrant because the warrant had just closed Monday afternoon and the meeting was Monday night. So I don't know if you want to start with that, and we have the moderator here this evening, so it helps to go over everything while Madam Moderator is here this evening.
You think?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if you folks have had a chance to actually read that.
I would like to have a little time, maybe next week's meeting to
Well,
discuss it.
we can't
We gotta
because
sign it.
the selectmen are gonna meet on Thursday morning at 10:30 to sign.
I actually read it today, as a matter of fact, both the annual and the special. Had a couple of minor questions and just question marks.
Was there anything other than, other than typos and things?
No, everything looked fine to me, Debs, as far as
So
just
what
a
we
couple
have
of-
on the special, if we can just kind of go through that quickly, is the FinCom has already taken this up, and they're all done. They just have one article that I inadvertently left off, the special,
Okay.
that they're going to vote on last night. But they've reviewed everything except the water budget.
Okay, good.
The fourth article is just the transfer to cover the cost of town meeting.
Yep.
Article 5 is the transfer from the MEMA Bridge repair account to do the paving project at the Town Hall Annex. 6, we have to use up some balances in some of the capital borrowing, and so we're repurposing some of that to be spent to fray the cost of an air conditioner for the treasurer's office. The next one is just, once again, repurposing capital debt from the money that we didn't spend for the Council on Aging vehicle, for the snow blower, for the library. The next one is the transfer to pay the snow and ice deficit at the point of where we were last week. So that recovered. The next one is a capital article for the various harbor master projects that are not complete. A lot of this constitutes a safety issue, the gangway, the balance for the wharf. The next article we had reviewed, actually the bond council wrote it. This is the joint selectmen and water board article to pay for the costs of the Prospect Hill engineering, stormwater, and design work that has to be done. So there's a combination of borrowing from the water department and appropriation that the selectmen have to cover that cost. So that that requires a 2/3 vote because it's a borrowing. Articles 11 and 12 relate to reimbursements to the Raleigh Municipal Lighting Plant for the the Town Common Light Project. We have to refund them for the cost of that. So those two articles cover that. They came in from Karen O'Donnell, the CPA administrator, after she met with her board last week. Article 13 is a transfer to cover some costs of refinancing the debt for the Girl Scout land purchase. 14 is a water department article, and this is a borrowing out of the state revolving fund as part of the water treatment plant project to complete the project by essentially having the Pingree Farm Road work completed. The estimates had come in a lot lower, and the SRF said they have a minimum threshold of, they don't have borrowing for anything under $200,000. So they don't think the work is going to cost that much. It was just what the SRF required. The next article is Water Department article, and this relates to, let's see here. Additional, the borrowing for the state. This is a housekeeping one. We have to pay the fees for the bond council, and we can't roll that into that debt. So it's a cost of debt issuance expense. Article 16 is a capital article for some essential work to be done at the highway department. This was the repair of the roof that's leaking right now, and the emergency generator and the lighting fixtures.
Lighting fixtures, yeah.
The next one, it covers the cost to have the archiving of permanent town records on microfilm. And Article 18 is the Harbor Master's bylaw amendments. And Article 19 and 20 are both street acceptances that you've been aware of. We just had the street layout hearings for Dexter Drive and the Wild Pastures Estate. And then 21, 22, 23, and 24 are the zoning articles. And we do have a zoning map that I haven't been able to place in there yet, but I just got that sent to me in a Word file. So those are things that the planning board is actually having hearing on Wednesday evening. So there may be some minor changes that come in that I will have to make Thursday morning before you have your morning meeting. So that's the special, and the selectmen have reviewed the annual, and that was pretty standard. The Article 4 is the standard elected officers' salaries. Article 5 is the budget, which is complete, which will be put in here. The water budget will be put in here. I have the final version right now. Article 8, the water board is transferring as a routine the balance of their free cash into their stabilization account. 9 through 12 are standard articles, voted on every year. 13 are all the revolving fund renewals. And 14 is the creation of a new revolving fund, which is a donation account, a new donation account that would be under the approval only of the Board of Selectmen, but the Parks and Rec activities could also be done through that. And what that does then is, we don't need the older article, which was the Selectmen and Parks and Rec article, and the 375th anniversary. So we're going to be transferring the balances of those other, closing those two revolving fund accounts out and moving it to the new one. And so that activities and concerts can be held, since there was such a success with that. 16, at the request of the treasurer, she's asking for the town to accept the provisions of Chapter 60, Section 15B, which sets up a special revolving fund account for the tax title process. This is not the same kind of revolving fund that you just looked at that we renew every year. This is a special off-budget account. And this way, we're not using the town's resources to devote to land court filings and things like that for tax title work. 17 is the standard paying the Massachusetts Water Pollution Abatement Trust septic betterment loan program. So we have a debt service we have to pay on that, and that's from the Board of Health. Article 18 is a capital borrowing. This is $190,000, $51,000 for the purchase of the communications and technology upgrades, which include computer software programs, an email exchange server, sign message board, and that's divided into the Treasurer's Office, Health Department, Library, Council on Aging, Planning Department, Information Services, Fire Department, Emergency Management Department, Police. We have $55,000 for the Police Department, and so we have radio repeaters and firearms and body armor for police and fire, and $84,000 for facilities upgrades for that include painting the exterior of the Pine Grove School, upgrades to the Eris Park playground and baseball field, and installation of a security system, HVAC system at the police station. And then 19 is the annual CPC appropriation. And Article 20, there is a parcel of tax title land that has come to our attention from the treasurer. She's recommending that it be transferred to the Conservation Commission. They have expressed interest in that. There really is if it was auctioned, there'd probably be no one interested in buying this because it is wetlands. Article 21 is the town meeting bylaw amendment that was suggested by the moderator to just lower the quorum from 100 to 80 because there seems to be on a regular basis approximately 80 people present at the time to start the business of the town meeting. And she thought that that was a suitable number, just so that we could get the town meeting started on time for the people that are there waiting. And 22 is the annual transfer to the OPEB account, trust fund. And 23 is the stabilization. And then we have the ballot, and we have on here last week, the Board of Selectmen voted to place an override question on. And so that's what it is.
Okay.
Looks good.
Okay, our next item under old business is discuss and evaluate lease of camp area proposals.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I have to recuse myself, and I also believe I should leave the room for this.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
I don't think my presence will be needed for the rest of the evening.
So you want to go home and go to bed? You're going to leave us here to work, and you're going to go home and go to sleep?
No, I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Okay, okay. No, you're dismissed, sir.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good night, gentlemen.
Night, Mr. Snow.
Okay. So that leaves the three of us here.
Yes, sir.
And you've had a chance to read it.
I've read it 4 times. I was
Okay.
very impressed with both proposals. It was very hard to distinguish between the proposals, both of them being, you have a YMCA and a YWCA. They both have historic backgrounds. They have put together excellent proposals, and I think that it was very difficult making a choice. But we do have the criteria on pages 8, 9, and 10. It was very hard to make but using that criteria, I think that I've come up with what I feel is a good evaluation. I don't know, how do you feel, Dave?
Yeah, which one did you choose, Joe?
My choice would be the YWCA of Newburyport. I thought that they came through with a detailed plan with the plan of service. If you look at question 9 in the book, and the detail on their goals and objectives, and looking at their proposal for the fall and winter of 2016, I thought they put out a very detailed plan of how they would proceed for use of the property. And I just think that again, both proposals were very, very good, but I thought that their proposal just gave a little bit more detail and a little bit more structure through the fall, spring and summer of 2016.
I read it also, Joe, and there was a lot there. But it's almost too good to be true.
Yes.
That was my first thought when I got finished reading it. That in this short a time frame, 15, and I don't know which one, I think one of them mentions that it's really too late to do much camping things out there because most everybody has already signed up by April to do their summer camping.
Right.
So
I think they take that into account.
I don't think I can see them doing everything that they say they think they can do in that time frame. I just don't think it'll happen. One of the other issues I had with the YW was that it's the Young Women's Christian Association, and they tend to focus on that in their opening statements, that they take care of that. And the third thing that I compared the two against were the finances. And it certainly appears to me, being somebody that can add 2 and 2 and come up with 3, that the YW doesn't have the funding that the YM has. And the YM's been around a long time, runs a lot of programs.
Yeah, I think both of them have a history of
Yeah, I mean,
running many programs.
they're pretty much, you know, they kind of run side by side, but the YW seems, I mean, the YM seems to have a little bit more diversity in their programs. So I would be in favor of the YMCA.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at both proposals, and I thought they were both very well put together.
I agree.
I supported the YMCA primarily because, number one, they've got any number of camps all over the North Shore, so that they have the resources and the staff and the so on and so forth to bring in to make things work. I think they've got the money behind them with a pretty fair amount of work to be done out there.
Yeah.
To bring those buildings up to par. And I felt that they had a better sense of financial background than the YW did. Plus, my third thing was I felt that the YWCA is going to draw people from Salisbury, Newburyport, up in that direction, whereas I felt that the YMCA already draws a huge crowd from Raleigh and Ipswich, and that certainly would continue to be the case. And I think it's the idea of being a Raleigh campsite would be that we would like to encourage, you know, Raleigh people to be able to use this facility and make use of it.
Right. And when I looked at their plan for this coming fiscal year actually, 2015, I felt that it was more realistic as to what could actually get accomplished versus the YW, which seems to have a whole litany of things which are fine, but I just don't think that given a quarter of the year has gone by already, that they can actually get all of those things done at that same time.
Yeah, I think the YMCA was more realistic in terms of putting together a plan for this coming summer.
Right, exactly.
It's not so much for the intent of getting it all completed, but at least getting things started,
Yep.
so that by the following summer they would be in full operation.
Right. It would be kind of a startup type
Right.
thing this first year.
Well, I would agree that both plans give us a choice of whichever one we choose.
They were both very well done.
Very, very well done, and will provide us with an excellent choice
No, I agree.
to work the property. And I would agree.
Okay.
I think
I'll make
that I found it very close. It was, you
It
know,
was
I
tough.
didn't find it a big deal.
I was very pleasantly surprised to read through the two proposals. I really
Yes.
was. I wasn't sure what to expect,
Right.
and
Yep.
I was really, really pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, no, they both were. If we had just one, I mean, we could have picked either one of them,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Right.
off the top. But when you kind of compare them side by side, there's just a kind of a little bit of an edge with the YM, I think.
We're talking a camping experience where we are talking about, you know, dealing with children and dealing with camp counselors and those kinds of things. And I think the YMCA seems to have a lot more to draw from, and they're directly next door
Right.
in Ipswich if they need people to fill in a slot or to fill slots with people. They can easily bring people over from Ipswich to make use of our piece of property a lot easier than what the YWCA can do from Newburyport.
Well, I'll make that motion,
Okay.
that we accept the proposal of the YMCA of Ipswich.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Very good.
Sounds good. Okay.
That motion to adjourns in,
We're gonna do
oh, wait a minute,
announcements.
we gotta do
I
it.
gotta do announcements, Dave, unless you can start moving if you want. I won't be
If
offended.
you don't mind, I just assume.
Okay, no, that's okay, Dave. Just I'll start reading the announcements and you can start getting ready. The town has the following vacancies. Fence viewer, 3 positions. Board of Cemetery Commissioners, 1 seat open through May 12th. Wood, Lumber, and Bark Inspector and Zoning Board of Appeals Associate, 2 open seats. Historical Commission, Historic District Commission, 2 seats. Parks and Recreation Committee, 2 seats. Open Space Committee is seeking members. For more information on these positions, please contact the Selectman's office at 948-2372. The Raleigh Food Pantry is in need of donations. The food pantry is open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. And what I'd like to add to that is that our state representative, Brad Hill, ran a food collection for the local pantries and up at the Market Basket last weekend, and it was very successful. We have an informational hearing on the town warrant this Monday, April 27th at Town Hall. Town meeting is scheduled for May 4th, 2015 at 7:30 p.m. at the Pine Grove School. Annual town election is Tuesday, May 12th, 2015 at noon to 8 p.m. at St. Mary's Hall, Main Street, Raleigh. Check out the library's website and Raleigh Community Media for news on the Raleigh Reads program. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.
Take care, Dave.
See you next week. Thank
See
you.
you, Dave.